I'm Jared Falk, and today I'm going to teach you how to tune the toms on your drum set. And I don't necessarily want to say teach, but I want to show you guys how I tune my toms. Now, I get countless comments, countless emails from drummers saying your drums sound unbelievable, specifically the toms. Exactly what do you do to get that sound, all right? Now, I first want to say it starts with good drums, okay? I'm using Maple Shell DW exotic drums, and this was my dream drum set. I know I always get comments saying, can I have your drum set? No, you can't have my drum set. This is my dream drum set. I saved up for like over 10 years to buy it. It's just exactly what I've always wanted. I don't think I'm ever going to sell it. Okay, so it starts with that. The next important thing is good drum heads. Now, I've been so fortunate enough to be endorsed by Evans Drum Heads, who don't only make great drums, but are also just amazing people. Working with Jim and Larry has just been outstanding, and I couldn't ask for a better partnership. And I've chosen, of all the drum heads they've offered, I've chosen a G2 coated, which is basically a 2-ply, 7 mil thick. Okay, each ply is 7 mil, and so that's a 14 mil head with a coating on top of it. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do, and for the sake of keeping this video relatively short, I'm going to kind of tell you what I'm going to do, and then I'm going to quickly do it. We're going to shut off the cams, or we'll speed them up, and then we can get to the actual tuning process, okay? Because I'm actually changing the heads here today too. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start to remove the drum heads, and I'm just going to loosen these all, just move around the drum, okay? I don't want to loosen the whole tuning, every single tuning peg at once, because it might warp the rim or just screw something up like that. So just slowly move around the drum, doing like a half or quarter turn. And then from there, you'll just take your fingers and turn the tension rods and just remove the rim completely. So I'm going to do that on all the drums now, okay guys? So it's going to start speeding up right now. So we got the rims off very quickly there, hey? So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the 10-inch head off. I'm going to do this one first, okay? Now this is always a good time to polish your drums, okay? I'm not going to do that now just for the sake of time. Here I got my drum head. Okay, and now what I do is I just first set the head on, and I like to line up the logo along with the tom mount. You guys can do whatever you want. Some people don't care, they just throw them everywhere. They don't mind if they're upside down. I'm so anal with this kind of stuff, so I like to have it perfect. All right, so we got that. Then I put the rim back on. And I'm just gonna hand tighten all of these, okay? And then the tuning process will start. So we're gonna do that with all the drum heads now, okay? We're gonna put on the head, tighten these tension rods as tight as we can, just with our fingers. Then I'm going to show you what I do to actually tweak the drums using a drum key. All right? So here we go. Now that I have all the drum heads on and all the tension rods are hand tight, now I'm going to get my drum key and I'm going to slowly start to tweak. So I'm just going to go around a half a turn around the drums to start. That one's actually a little bit looser than the other ones, and you might find that because they're not, even though they're hand tight, some of the lugs are a little bit, they don't have enough grease in them, and so the tension rods are actually really hard to get hand tight or as tight as the other ones, so sometimes you'll have to tweak it with a drum key as well. Again. And another thing I want to say is a lot of drummers will seat their tom heads as well, which what I mean by that is they'll put the head on, then they'll put their fist in the middle and actually stretch the drum heads, and you'll hear it crack there a little bit. Honestly, I normally don't do that. And I know some haters are going to be hating on me saying, why don't you seat your drum heads? Why are you telling people not to seat your drum heads? They just sound amazing when I just put the head on and screw it tight, and they hold their tune like unbelievably. And so I don't find that as hugely necessary, and so that's why I don't always do it. Now, if you want to do it, go ahead, okay? This is my way, this is what I do to get the drum sound that I have on these drums. So take from it what you want and use it, and disregard what you don't want, all right? So now that I've kind of just tuned it up a little bit, I'm just gonna hit it and hear how it sounds. Okay, so you're gonna hear it go wow, wow, wow. I don't like that at all. I like to hear just a do, 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 okay? And with the reso head, I actually didn't make any adjustments, nor am I changing the reso head, but I'm gonna talk a little bit about what I wanna do there. First, I know that this needs to come up a little bit higher. So I'm just gonna go around one more time. Okay, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually just check the pitch by each tension rod. So I'm gonna tap here and tap over here. Can you hear the difference? So this one up here is a little bit lower, so I'm just gonna turn that up a little bit. Now I'm gonna do this one. Now this one feels a little bit low for me. I hope this is coming through the mic's fine for you guys. You guys might be like, no, the other one's low. But this is how I'm hearing it from this side of the drum set, okay? Now let's do this other one. And this one over here seems a little bit low, so I'm gonna bring that up. All right, now I'm gonna hit the drum again, hear how it sounds. Okay, that sounds really, really good. And I'm a little bit surprised. I actually didn't think it was gonna be that easy. Normally it's not. But it just was. And that's what I absolutely love about these drum heads is I put them on and they just sound really, really good. I don't know what the deal is. I remember when I was like 15, 16 playing drums. I'm 29 now. So almost 15 years ago, I remember just struggling with tom sounds. I could not get my drums or my toms to sound the way I wanted them to sound. So it takes time, you know, to figure it out, to get a knack for, you know, exactly what you need to do when you get your drum heads. And so just try stuff. Take off your heads, put them back on, work with the sound, work with the reso head, you know, try different batter heads every time you change your heads. All right? Now what I want to talk about is the tension of the top head, the batter head, in relation to the resonant head. Now, a lot of people say the tone should be the same. So if I hit the 10-inch batter head, you hear that dun 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 or dun 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 dun. I want that same tension on the bottom. Now, I usually like to tune it a little bit lower than the top head, okay? Some drummers will say tune them so they're exactly the same, and that's totally cool because it's whatever sound you're trying to achieve. So let's listen to the bottom. So the reso head is actually almost exactly the same tone from where I'm sitting. It almost sounds exactly the same, but you guys, the drum sounds really good. So if I was struggling to find the sound or figure out what's wrong with the sound, why am I getting these overtones and stuff like that, I would probably tweak the resonant head first because I've evened up the top head and I've got that sounding and feeling really, really good. So if there was an issue with this drum, and we might find that over here, if there was an issue, I would go to the resonant head, okay? And I would just go by each tuning peg, make sure they're even, and then, you know, do a quarter turn each to tune it up or a quarter turn and tune it down, then hit the drum again and listen to it and hear how it sounds, okay? So now my 10-inch tom is done. Now let's move on to the 12-inch tom, okay? The 10-inch tom generally is the easiest. I find the smaller the tom, the easier it is to tune. So now let's try this one. So again, we're just gonna tune them up. Start to put some tension on the head. You can go ahead and seat the drum head if you want. Put your fist in there. Okay, so I've got it tuned up a little bit. Now let's hit it and hear how it sounds. So it's a pretty long sustain and a little bit too low for me. Now before I go up any more, I'm just gonna check the tone beside each tension rod. Now, a lot of you will probably ask about the tension watch stuff, or like the little meters you can get that you can put on beside each tension rod to measure the tension. I don't use any of that. I'm old school. I just like to just do it by ear. If it sounds good, it sounds good. Even if this one is way lower, even if this tension rod is way lower, but I still like the sound, I'm just gonna leave it because I think it sounds good. And that's where it all starts, is with the sound. So you can go ahead and try those if you want, and that's just kind of like a tire pressure gauge for your drums. It's gonna measure the tension, so if this one is a certain tension, you can make this one exactly the same, and this one exactly the same, stuff like that. There's also something called a torque key, and that is where it'll measure the tension at which you're turning the tension rod, and it'll only let you put a certain amount of tension on it, and then I guess it'll start clicking or something like that. Never tried it, but also a great tool if you guys are really having trouble tuning your toms and you want to kind of work some of that stuff out and get some of those. That's totally fine. Personally, I just don't use it. I prefer to just, go by ear. If it sounds good, let's just do it. So let me just check the tone here. Go up a little bit here. Sounds good. So you might find it hard to hear if there's a little bit of a difference, and that's fine. Just take your time. You don't have to learn how to tune your drums overnight, and it's not as simple as, like for guitarists, is this guitar in tune? They have a pedal, they plug their guitar into it, it tells them go up, go down, and then they know 100% whether or not it's in tune. Drumming isn't like that, unless you're tuning to specific notes. And that's not something I do. I've never really tuned my drums to notes. If you look at a guy like Terry Bozzio, who plays like this massive drum set, and he plays a lot of orchestral pieces and like almost melodic pieces on the drums, he would probably, I know he tunes his drums to notes and stuff like that, which is totally cool if that's what you need and that's what you want to do. Personally, I've never really done it, never found a need for it. All the studio situations I've been in no one's ever asked me to tune my drums to the key of C or to the key of A or E or anything like that. Not to say you won't ever encounter it, but it's just never happened to me. Okay, so now that I've kind of made some adjustments, let me hit this and hear how it sounds. So I'm getting a tiny bit of overtone, so I'm going to test it and hit the resonant head. So I'm thinking I'm going to come up a little bit more on the top, and then I might actually turn the drum over and tighten the reso head a tiny bit. Seems a little bit low for me right now. Let's turn it over. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tune it up a little bit, and then I'm going to check the tension rods and make sure that they're all nice, even tension. That's pretty good. Okay, so now that I've tuned at the bottom, I'm feeling like I need to just bring this down a little bit. And this is what I do, guys. I'm not like, there's not like some massive method to any of this. It's just, how does it sound here? Does it sound good? Does it feel good? That's what I judge it by. Sounds really good to me now. And you guys might, some of you might be sitting there and be like, it doesn't sound good to you at all. And that's fine, you know, tune your drums differently. I'm just trying to give you guys an idea of how I go about it and how I tune it in relation, like the 10 to the 12. You know, obviously this is going to be higher, tune higher, and it's all in my head how I want to sound. I want to hear a do, 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 do when I go through it. That's what I hear, do, 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 do. Sounds really, really stupid when I do it like that, but you guys know what I mean, right? Okay, so now that the 12 is done, let's move down to the 14. Again, just going to go all the way around. Now these are all finger tight so far. So we have already put the head on. Again, I'm not going to seat the head. Not something I do. Now these floor toms are actually mounted toms. Okay, so they're not actually floor toms. I guess so, not technically, but they're held off on a stand, and so that's why you'll see them wiggling here like that. And I find that when the toms are like this, they offer a little bit more resonance, a little bit more tone, rather than when they're right on the floor. Sometimes you don't get as much of, as long as a note, or they're just a little bit more flat, I find. Just me, personally. So right now it doesn't sound good at all. So I think I need to come up a little bit more, and then I'm going to figure out the tension rods. A little bit more. Okay, now let's tweak. This one seems too high. That one seems too low. That sounds really, really good to me. A lot of you guys who your 14-inch tom is maybe your lowest tom, you'd probably want to tune it a little bit lower than that. And then that would involve, you know, cranking the top down a little bit and also cranking the reso head down a little bit. For me, because I have this 16 over here, I still like to have a little bit tighter of a 14-inch tom. Okay, so now the last one, again, just going to go around. Oh, that's still a little bit loose. Let's hit it, hear how it sounds. Okay, so it's still a little bit low. You hear that rumble or the roar after I hit it. Tune it up a little bit. This 16-inch tom is never giving me a problem. It's so easy to tune. Okay, so the 16 in relation to these other ones is still a little bit low. So I'm just going to crank it up a little bit more. Just a tiny bit, like an eighth of a turn. Hardly adjusting it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to figure out the tension. It's a little bit high. High. And it might, like I said, it might be hard for you guys to hear that right away or right when you're starting out tuning, and that's fine. Just take your time, you know. We get to play drums our whole life, so don't rush it, you know. Just have fun. Let's hear how it sounds. Let's hear the bottom. Yeah, it sounds really good. Now, what I'm finding after doing this is that the resonant head and the batter head, they're more similar in tone than I thought it would be. Normally, I would actually make the resonant head a little bit lower, but in this case, the drums are sounding really, really good when they're tuned exactly the same. Okay, so now that I got my floor tom close to where I want it, I'm just gonna see how all these drums sound together. And like I said, I'm looking for the do, 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 right? The low one. So there you have it. That is exactly how I tune my toms. I know I'm not overly picky, and you know, my drums just sound good. I start out with really, really good drums. I put on really, really good drum heads, and then I tune them up, I check the tensions, and that's pretty much it. You're gonna have to do tweaking over time, so I might all of a sudden find that the 10-inch is got a little bit of a growl at the end of it, and so then what I'll do is I'll just turn it up a little bit, because that means the head is probably started to seat itself and it's lost a little bit of tension. So I'll just quickly tune it up. Simple as that, but that's it. That's the method to my madness, or whatever you want to call it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, okay? If you do have any questions, if I didn't answer any of them within this video, please just leave your questions below. I'm here all the time. I'd love to help you guys get your drums sounding the way you want them to sound. I'd love to help you try and find your specific sound, whether it be with Evans drum heads, DW drums, whatever it is, you know. I'm there, I can answer questions, we can chat drum heads, chat drums. It's up to you guys, okay? So leave me your questions and comments below, and I'll see you in the next video.